Superintendent of the Year Award celebrates the talent and vision of women and men who lead our state's public schools. Candidates are selected through a comprehensive application process focusing on leadership, communication, professionalism, and community involvement, and selected by the Council's Distinguished Service Committee for the New York State Award. We announced our selection for this prestigious award at the 2025 Fall Leadership Summit last September in Saratoga, and this person was honored at AASA's National Conference on Education last month. But I now invite Jonna St. Croix, a teacher, Jamie Birchenow, a former principal, Janelle Bova, a teacher, and Jennifer Berry, a retired teacher, all from Sackets Harbor, to come to the stage to help present this important award.
Good morning. My name is Jonna St. Croix, and on behalf of our colleagues here with me on stage today, we are honored to join you to celebrate our superintendent and the remarkable school community we serve. We would like to share some background on the Sackets Harbor Central School District school community so you develop an understanding of what makes our community unique and special. This will help set the stage for the story that Jen will soon share with all of you. Sackets Harbor School is a small, rural public school district nestled along the shores of Lake Ontario in Jefferson County, northern New York. We serve approximately 450 students from pre-K through grade 12, all within one single school building. That structure is more than a logistical detail. It is central to who we are. It allows us to operate as one school family, where students are known by name, relationships span grade levels, and adults work together with a shared sense of responsibility for every child. Our school is staffed by 41 full-time teachers and 1 full-time school counselor, a building administrator, and a district-level administrator. Instructional aides, office staff, a librarian, and student support personnel work collaboratively to deliver a comprehensive, caring, and student-centered educational experience. Our student body reflects a range of experiences and backgrounds. Nearly 35% of our students are identified as economically disadvantaged, and while our student body is predominantly white, our community also includes students who identify as Hispanic or Latino, Asian, and Black. All of our students' varied experiences contribute to the fabric of our school community. We enrich student learning through strong partnerships with Jefferson Lewis BOCES and a variety of nonprofit community organizations, which have expanded opportunities for our students both in and beyond the classroom. As a result of these collective efforts, our students consistently perform at or above New York State averages, demonstrating strong academic achievement across grade levels and subject areas. Sackets Harbor has repeatedly earned gold status in the U.S. News and World Report top school rankings, has been recognized by Business First as a top school in Jefferson County, and was recently named an outstanding school district by Education Magazine. At its core, Sackets Harbor Central School District is guided by a clear mission: to empower students to meet life's challenges with knowledge, character, and a lifelong commitment to learning as they prepare to become contributing citizens in our American democratic way of life. In support of this mission, Sackets is committed to engaging all students in meaningful learning, fostering a safe, supportive, and inclusive school environment where every student belongs. Recruiting and retaining exceptional staff, strengthening family and community partnerships, and stewarding resources responsibly to ensure sustainable, student-centered success. Our shared pride values reflect this mission: perseverance, respect, integrity, dignity, and empathy. And if you visit Sackets Harbor School, you will see these values on posters throughout our building and in the actions of our students, faculty, staff, and our superintendent. It is within this context, this close-knit, resilient, and deeply connected community that our superintendent leads. At this time, we are pleased to welcome Erin Gaffney and Katie Ramus, who will officially introduce our superintendent, Ms. Jennifer Gaffney Goodenough.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Katie Ramus, and this is my sister, Erin Gaffney. It is such an honor to be here this morning celebrating our sister, Jennifer Gaffney Goodenough, New York State's 2026 Superintendent of the Year. Jen began her career as a high school social studies teacher, became a principal, and for the past decade has served as superintendent of the Sackets Harbor Central School District. At every step, she has believed deeply in the power of public education to change lives and strengthen communities. And she just doesn't believe it, she lives it. She leads with heart, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to her students, her staff, and families. Describing Jen as hardworking, dedicated, and passionate is accurate, but it doesn't fully capture her leadership. She is also a courageous leader who has always put her students and school community first. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she guided her district through uncertainty with steady leadership. In a time without a playbook, she stayed grounded in science, transparency, and the district's values, ensuring her schools remained places of stability and connections for students and families.
That same courage was evident again in March 2025 when immigration officers detained a local family, including 3 Sackets Harbor students. As the situation quickly became part of a national debate, Jen met the moment with calm, steady leadership. She advocated fiercely for her students and for doing what was right, even when it meant stepping into profound discomfort. Leading a small rural district like Sackets Harbor comes with real challenges. With limited resources, Jen and her team have made doing more with less a reality through innovation, collaboration, and persistence. She has always believed deeply that strong schools are built not only within classrooms, but with partnerships beyond them. Under her leadership, community partnerships have grown as she's expanded opportunities and closed gaps for students and families. Programs like the Backpack Program, one Jen just didn't start, but personally coordinates, along with partnerships supporting mental health, enrichment, and community connection, reflect her commitment and belief that every child deserves access to a high-quality education. Jen and her colleagues were recently honored with the inaugural Courage Project, a national recognition sponsored by the United Way Worldwide, the MacArthur Foundation, and the McKnight Foundation. In addition to being a strong leader and advocate for her students and the community, Jen is the wife of Derek Goodenough and the proud mom of 3 children, Caden, Bryce, and Josie, who are all here to celebrate with us today. It is with great pride, admiration, and love we introduce our sister, your colleague in public education, and the 2026 Superintendent of the Year, Jennifer Gaffney Goodenough.
Wow, what an incredible honor it is to be here with all of you this morning. I am deeply grateful to the Distinguished Services Committee for believing that I, a superintendent from a small rural school in the North Country, is deserving of such a recognition. Thank you so much. Thank you also to all of our friends at NISCUS for your continued commitment to advancing and supporting the superintendency. And I want to share a special shout out to these 2 beautiful women who I've had the privilege of working with now for many months in preparation for all of this. Teresa and Deidre have just been fantastic to work with. Thank you. I also want to thank my family. I shared a little bit last night about how appreciative I am, and it cannot be understated. So it's probably one of the only pictures I have of all of us together. But my husband Derek, my kids Caden, Bryce, and Josie, my mom, my dad, my aunts, my siblings, everyone's here to support me, and I am so very blessed, and I thank you all so much. I have friends that traveled here to Albany today. I have colleagues from all over the state here to support me. I also have my amazing board members joining us today, and then also a variety of partners that I'm going to introduce a little bit later on in this in my remarks. So I accept this award with absolute humility and on behalf of my entire school community. My sisters did a beautiful job describing who I am as both a person and as a leader. And while I strive every day to be dedicated and passionate and strong in this role, I am keenly aware that I am in a room literally filled with people who embody those very same characteristics and qualities, including, quick shout out, my great colleagues from the Jefferson, Lewis, Herkimer, Hamilton, Oneida, BOCES. Just want to make sure I put a little plug in for you guys. You know, I simply had the opportunity to do something that drew attention, and that allowed me to lift up my district and share our story. So it is without a shadow of a doubt that this award belongs to my entire school community, including to the group of beautiful and bold women who introduced our community just a few minutes ago. I affectionately call them the J Squad: Jonna, Jamie, Jen, Janelle. I adore you and thank you. As was described, Sackets Harbor is a very small rural district, and as Jonna described, we are highly engaged and deeply connected with our community, and we do share a sense of raising our kids together with our community. We are committed, as she mentioned, to all kids, no matter who they are or where they come from. And every day we strive to create a learning environment that is safe, welcoming, inclusive, and positive. We are not perfect, but we work really hard to be the best school we can be for our community. Every decision I make begins and ends with one simple question. It's simple: what is best for kids? At my core, I believe that relationships, connectedness, and a strong and positive climate and culture aren't just important, they are everything. They are made in the everyday moments, in trust and listening and showing up. And as we all know, as superintendents, hard moments come, and they come often. And it's that foundation which sustains us. So earlier it was mentioned that something happened in our school community, and I want to share that story with you now. It is a story about community. It is a story about courage. It is a story about how our district's mission, vision, values, and goals guided our response during a community crisis. It's also a story, as my sister described it, it's a story about leadership without a plague book, about navigating uncertainty, about protecting children, and about holding firm to values under intense pressure. And I have said this before, and I will say it again, and you're going to hear it one more time today. It was never about politics. It was simply about kids. So here's the story. It was Thursday morning, March 27th, 2025, 7:15 a.m. I receive a call from my principal, Jamie, and Jamie shared with me that 3 of our students and their mother were taken from from their home on a local dairy farm by immigration enforcement. A 3rd grader, a sophomore, and a junior. My first instinct was disbelief. You know, this kind of thing does not happen in Sackets Harbor. My second was to verify, and what I learned still takes my breath away today. Immigration enforcement was targeting a suspected criminal, but in the process, they detained everyone they believed might be undocumented. Our students were taken at gunpoint from their beds and put into a van with the suspected criminal. We didn't know where they were, we didn't know where they were going, and we did not know what would happen next. And for a moment, and it's one that I will never forget, I was frozen. There was no precedent, there was no guidance, there was no one that I could turn to ask, how did you handle this? In a small community, as you can imagine, news travels very fast. So 45 minutes after the raid at the farm, our school doors were open, and everyone knew what had happened. Our classrooms were filled with heartbreak, with fear and confusion. So we, my colleagues and I, did what educators do when there is no script. We centered on our kids. My team and I mobilized immediately. We began calling state and federal officials right out of the gate. We activated every partner we had, from legal advocates, government agencies, unions, educational organizations, anyone who might help us bring our kids home. At the same time, our amazing school community surged forward and said, what can we do? We want to help. So we put together a list of elected officials' names, their contact information, and a suggested script, which centered on the message, bring our kids home. The response was overwhelming. So overwhelming, in fact, that I got a call from one of the elected officials saying, Jen, you got to tell your community to stand down. You are inundating our offices. So we agreed. We did. We were trusted that they were working on our behalf and would come through for us. So while we were fighting to bring our 3 students home, we were equally focused on the children in our classrooms. We created space for them to ask questions, to process their emotions, and feel supported by the adults in our school. From the very start, honesty and openness needed to guide our every step, so I kept the Board of Education informed consistently. I also made sure that our faculty, staff, and community had updates as events unfolded on the situation. Teachers were encouraged to speak directly with students, and Jamie and I, my principal and I, visited classrooms to have conversations with kids and share with them what we knew and acknowledge what we didn't. The media began calling me just a few hours after the detainment of our kids, and I declined interviews. And it wasn't because I was hiding. It was simply because I didn't want to do anything that would jeopardize our efforts. So we stayed quiet, we stayed patient, and we hoped. So now it's the day after. It's Friday night. And before I went to bed that night, I sent a text message to one of the elected officials who was assisting us. And I want to read it to you now because I think it shows just kind of my state of mind at that time. I want to know where my kids are. I've tempered my community and I've stayed patient myself, and I will continue to do so until Monday, but I need answers. My fear is that we stay quiet while they put them on a plane and send them away. I'll play along, but if I find out my kids are gone, all hell is going to break loose. I ended on a positive note. I thank you for working on our behalf, and I appreciate you. So on a Sunday morning, one of our teachers who just could not stop worrying figured out how to locate the family using their A number. A very resourceful teacher figured that out. And that's when we learned that they had, in fact, been put on a plane and taken to Texas to a detention facility. And that was the moment that everything changed. My next message to that same legislator: we will no longer stand down. So in addition to continuing to press our state and federal officials, we activated or leveraged the most powerful tool we had at our disposal, the media. I remained deliberately apolitical. The message never wavered. This was not about politics. This was about children being returned to their school and to their community. And what began as a local story became a regional story, then a statewide story, then national, and then international. And with that visibility came risk. Some of my board members and I had honest conversations about how polarizing the issue could become, and it did. I received a great deal of mostly anonymous hate mail and hate messages from all over the place. But for every one of those messages, I received dozens more, filled with gratitude, love, and solidarity. And that contrast revealed something very powerful for me at that moment that I needed, and that is that the values of our communities, of our state, and of our nation are still, in fact, rooted in humanity. Eventually, I stepped back from the media. The story no longer needed me. I lit the spark, and then the community had found its own voice. The community organized a rally that was to take place in Sackets Harbor. And at the same time they were organizing this rally, Governor Hochul came out to publicly condemn the illegal detainment of our Sackets Harbor students. And that amplified the momentum even further. So it's now April 5th on a very cold afternoon. Our tiny village was filled, shoulder to shoulder, with people who traveled from near and far. Over 1,000 people in our little village were marching from the center of our village to the home of border czar Tom Homan. Yes, he lives in our area. The message was singular: bring our kids home. That evening, we learned that they might return, and then that next day, we received confirmation. So after 11 long days, our students and their mother came home, and we could hardly believe it. Our efforts actually paid off. It was amazing. And we share, oh, thank you. We share this experience not just to tell the story, but to offer the lessons that can strengthen your path forward as leaders. So I want to just take a moment. I want to break down the story for you and talk about what it shows. First, it shows that your district's mission, your vision, your goals and values are there to guide you during good times, but also during crises. It shows the power of intentional communication and how the media can be used strategically, not recklessly when needed. It shows how integral your leadership is, especially when it is rooted in integrity and in courage. It shows the power of partnerships. Sackets Harbor is a tiny school district with limited resources and limited capacity, but we were never alone. And I want to take a moment while I'm up here on stage and publicly thank the partners that stood by us during that incredibly challenging time. I'm going to start with Melinda Person and the team at NYSET. They not only took our call and offered us advice, but showed up, came to Sackets Harbor to support our community. Thank you. To the amazing team at the New York Immigration Coalition who stood by us on day one and continue to stand by us up until today. Thank you to them. Thank you also to the members of the Attorney General's office who are here today, Deanna and Chad, but the Attorney General herself played a direct role in supporting our efforts, and I thank them as well. And there were many others, and I can't express how grateful I am. So I want to go back to the breakdown. It also shows that educators are instinctively wired to protect children, and that is exactly what we did. And above all, our story shows what happens when a school community refuses to let its children disappear. So our 3 students are doing okay. They come to school every day, ready to learn. They're supported by a community that stood up for them. Unfortunately, the fear, the trauma, and the uncertainty carries on to this very day. Before I close, I want to tell you about one of those students now. Her name is Jamie. I wanted her to be with me today, but it's just not safe. She is the eldest sister, a senior. She's very excited to graduate in June. She is kind, she is determined, and she is extraordinary. She meets every competency on the New York State Portrait of a Graduate. She wants to be a nurse, someone who runs towards others in a crisis. When I asked Jamie, actually I'm going to go on this side. When I asked Jamie to think about her future and tell me what gives her hope, I want you to hear what she had to say.
What gave me hope for my future is my school, Sackets Harbor Central School, especially my Spanish teacher, Mrs. Berry, and Superintendent, Mrs. Gaffney, as well as many others like Mrs. Birchenough, Mrs. White, Mrs. Timmerman, Mrs. St. Croix, and Mrs. Andre and Mr. Haley, and so many others in our community. When I face a very difficult situation and I feel like there was no way out, Sackets Harbor showed me incredible support. They helped me and showed me what was possible. They are role models, professional, kind, and people I deeply admire.
So I leave you with this question. What does leadership require from us now? We are living in a time where our democracy feels very fragile. As leaders in public education, as protectors of children and stewards of our shared future, we must choose courage over comfort and convenience. Inaction and neutrality in moments of injustice are decisions, and our children are watching. And standing up for children, all children, is not optional. It's literally our job. So I'm going to leave, as I stand here today, I accept this award on behalf of my amazing school community, but I also accept it on behalf of the countless courageous educators and leaders from all across our nation who are stepping up every day to lead with courage, integrity, and values, even when it is uncomfortable and challenging to do so. This award is not just about one superintendent or one school district. It reminds us what is possible when we refuse to let fear and uncertainty define us, and when we choose to put community and kids at the center of everything we do. Thank you very much.